Okay, so let's go to let's see here. What is this? It's out of sync. We have we've lost some of our information here. All right. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way of eliminating debt. And I wanted to say, brother AJ, hey, what's going on with you this morning watching us on YouTube? Good morning to you. And good morning to all of you here in Clubhouse. Please come to the stage if you have any questions or comments about this subject at all. I'm telling you, things go much better when there are questions. All right. I tell you what, somebody came into our show on Friday and started asking some very good questions. All right. And not only started asking questions, but entered into a very good conversation with me. And because of that, I have in a mail packet an autographed copy of my book that I'm going to be sending out to that person tomorrow. So you never know what good is going to happen when you come to the P.I.L.L Method stage, especially while we're in the mortgage syndicate this morning. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here. I need a few more people in here before we actually get started. And start inviting some people in. But in the meantime, say good morning. Say good morning and tell me where you're from, even if it's in the chat. So I'm going to be first to put in here, good morning to all of you. All right. Good morning. Put a little sunshine in there. All right. We're going to say good morning to everyone who is watching us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So good morning to you all. There we go. And good morning to all of you. All right. So we've got, as soon as we get like one or two more people in here, we're going to get started. I'm going to pull up my notes so that we can go over what you came in here for. Understanding what is going on with all of this that's talking about these interest rates and the mortgages and all of the loans. And oh my goodness. I want to talk to you about, let's start out with this. Okay. Let's start out with this. This I mentioned in my book. Good morning, Ann from Antelope Valley, California. Good morning to you. All right. So listen, get your notebooks out and then please go to YouTube. So you'll be able to see some of this. All right. So we're going to start with this morning. Interest consumption. Interest consumption. All right. Okay. Brother AJ from Tennessee. Good to see you here. All right. Listen, interest consumption. I mentioned that in my book. Do you know what that means? How much interest are you consuming each month? In other words, if you took a look at all of your loans and the average family has 13 different loans, okay? 13 different debts. That's the average family. And those are families even that do very well financially. Okay? So by no means am I saying that these people that I'm talking about are in trouble financially if they have 13 different debts. It doesn't take long to get there. Okay. So you've got a couple. Okay. Let's say they met in college. They decided to get married and they have at least 5 student loans each. At least. That's 10 right there. Okay. Um, they're both employed. So that's two cars. All right. So now there's 12. All right. And now they have a mortgage. Well, that's 13. Well, what if they have more student loans? What if they have some credit cards thrown in? That's why I said the average is 13, but many people have more. So if you were to count up how much interest you are paying, just the interest on the loans, that's what we call interest consumption. And you'd be surprised that for most of us, even those of us who are doing well, good morning, Armin, okay? For most of us, we're paying 35 to 39% of our take-home pay just on interest alone. Add it up. Do the math. How much are you bringing home each month? And then do the math on how much interest consumption, not the entire payment, folks. All right. Because no matter what kind of payment you have, all right, no matter what kind of loan payment you have, it's broken down into two parts. How much goes to principal? That means the amount of money that you borrowed and you're paying back. And then the amount that is credited towards interest. That is the part that's wasted because it does nothing for you. Does everything for the bank, but nothing for you. So out of that interest portion, add up all the interest portion on the loans, not, and even excluding the payment, the principal part. Just add up the interest portion, 35 to 39% of your take-home pay just on interest alone. And I've seen it as high as 50%. Yeah. Interest payments. So if your interest consumption is so high, how is it that banks have been so successful in getting us not to pay attention to how much interest we're actually paying? Oh my goodness. Listen, I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about. We're going to go to, I'm going to put this on the screen. I got to finish putting all my information on so people can see what's going on. All right. So we're going to add that. We're going to add our share our screen. All right. And there we go. Screen 3. All right. Now you are now seeing. All right. You are now seeing what is going on, that what I have on the screen here. All right. I'm going to put in some information about a mortgage, and we're just going to talk about interest. We're just going to talk about interest consumption for the first part of the show today. For the first part of the show, interest consumption. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're going to put in the median home price, which is around $420,000 for the median home price across the U.S. Across the U.S., the median home price is $420,000. The interest rate right now is 8%. Oh my gosh, 8%. All right. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, the payment is $3,081.81. We're also going to look at now how much interest the bank wants over 30 years. How much interest does the bank want? $689,000. That's how much interest they want over 30 years. But just take a look at the interest consumption on just this loan. Just this loan. I need you to take a look at the payment and how it's broken down. Because of the amortization formula, because of the formula the bank uses, they're very good at getting us not to pay attention to interest consumption. Okay? We get used to making that monthly payment. It is part of our budget. All right? And it's something we can afford to make. That's $3,000 a month. All right? This is what we can afford that. If you have this mortgage, you can afford it. Okay. So now you have the mortgage, but now you're making your monthly payment every month, but you're not paying attention to how much is going to principal and how much is being attributed to interest. In this very first payment, $2,800, $2,800 out of your payment of $3,081.81 is going to interest. That's interest consumption. That the interest consumption is so high that if we did the math, ladies and gentlemen, if we just did the math on that, all right, well, let me put my calculator over here on this screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. If we just did the math on that, we have a payment of 3,000. Okay, I'm sorry, an interest payment of $2,800. We divide it by the total payment of $3,081.81. That tells us that 91%, 0.908. Okay, that is, so you have to, because it's 908, you have to round up that 0 to a 1. 91% of the payment is interest alone. 91% of your payment is interest alone. So that's what we mean by interest consumption. All right. So now let's take a look at this. Every single month, you're paying a lot of money in interest. So even for the first 12 months, let's take a look at this. $2,800, $2,789 each month. Of the third month, $2,796. In the fourth month, we add to that $2,794. So we're just going to take a look at the whole year. How much interest are we consuming on this loan that we're not paying attention to? Listen, it just gets so easy just to make the payment, okay? Because you're enjoying the house, you're having fun, you're doing the things that you want to do. You know, you enjoy your job, you enjoy your family, everything is going well. Why are we stopping to pay attention to how much interest we're actually paying on this loan? Most of us are not. Okay, most of us are not. At the end of 1 year, out of all the money you've paid out, only $3,500 is going to principal. Add up all the interest payments, it's $33,473. That's just in the first year. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it better. Okay, that's just in the first year. All right, in the second year, okay, you're now in the loan for 2 years. After 2 years, you've paid the loan down by $7,300, $7,308.22. That's how much is going to principal. How much is going to interest in 2 years? $66,655. $66,000. That's interest consumption, ladies and gentlemen. What about after 3 years on this loan? 3 years on this loan. Just the mortgage alone. We're not talking about the mortgage plus the student loans, plus the car loans, plus the credit cards, and just adding up all the interest there. We're just talking about this mortgage. After 36 months, 3 years in, and I'm well aware that whoever has this loan is doing very well financially. They're just not paying attention to how much interest they're paying, the interest consumption. After 3 years, $99,521.84 has gone to interest alone, while they paid their mortgage down by $11,423.32. So here's my question, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Ruth Oliver from the UK. Good morning. I'm glad to see you here. Listen, folks, come to the stage. Let's talk about this. Listen, are you aware of your interest consumption? And should we be doing something about it? Who's talking about interest consumption? Who's talking about how much interest we're paying on these loans month after month after month? Who's talking about it? Is this a subject we should be concerned about on how much interest is being taken out of our households? Listen, we hear people talking about generational wealth. It is very difficult to talk about generational wealth when in the first 3 years on this mortgage, $99,521 has been taken out of my family to give to the bank so that they can become wealthy. Don't you think it's about time? Now, I need you, if you want to see what we're talking about, please go to YouTube so you can see what we're talking about. And I put the link in the chat. Okay? I put the link in the chat if you want to see it. That's 3 years. 4 years in. Oh my gosh, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Pay your loan down after 4 years on this mortgage, only $15,879.97 has paid down the loan, and $132,046 has gone to interest out of your payments. So if we add that up in 4 years, $132,046, okay, plus $15,879 equals, that's $147,925 that this family pays out in just 4 years on this mortgage, and only $15,000. Can I repeat that? Add it up. This family has paid out to their bank $147,925, and out of that money, only $15,879 has been used to pay down their loan. Lord have mercy. Hey, Kushan, what is going on here? Can I get somebody to come to the stage and talk to me about this? Listen, am I the only one that's outraged about this? Can I get a witness from somebody here in Clubhouse? All right. Listen, somebody on YouTube. Okay. Brother AJ says, listen, he's mind blown. He is mind blown about how much money we're talking about. Can I just break it down for the first 5 years? For the first 5 years on this loan, talking about interest consumption, ladies and gentlemen, interest consumption. And I'm going to show you how we get there. All right. Interest consumption. In the first 5 years, here's what the bank wants on this loan. You will pay your mortgage down by $20,706.50. But it will cost in interest. Here's your interest consumption. How much interest are you consuming each month for 5 years? It adds up to $164,202.10. You think you don't have a lot of money. You have plenty of money. But $164,000 of your dollars has gone just to interest, and only $20,000 has gone to principal. You see, this is why I love talking to people about interest cancellation instead of interest consumption. How would you like to be able to pay this loan down by $20,000 and pay less than $30,000 in interest to do the same thing? Not $164,000 as the bank wants, but less than $30,000 to do the same thing. That's what interest cancellation is all about. But first of all, we have to become aware that there's a problem. You see, the P.I.L.L method for a lot of people the P.I.L.L method stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. We've solved a problem that most people don't even know they have yet. Why? Because they're not paying attention to interest consumption. How is it that we're missing that, but when it's right there in front of us? It's called inattentional blindness. Have you heard of the term inattentional blindness? The banking system over the years since 1936 has become expert in creating inattentional blindness around this subject. Now, some people may think it's a made-up word, but it actually has become a word in economic science. Let me do this for you. Inattentional blindness. Okay, it has now become a scientific term. This is what it is: inattentional blindness or perceptual blindness. Okay, you're focused on what you're focused on, and you're not paying attention to what you're not paying attention to or you're not focused on. But listen to this: inattentional blindness or perceptual blindness, rarely called inattentive blindness, occurs when an individual fails to perceive an unexpected stimulus in plain sight, purely as a result of lack of attention rather than any visual defects or deficits. Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting this statement every single month. And it's right there in front of you every single month. But we just get so used of looking at one portion. What is our payment? And we make the payment and we're able to sleep soundly for another month because all of our bills have been paid. We drive what we want to drive. We vacation where we want to vacation. Okay? We visit where we want to visit. We eat out at the restaurants we want to eat out. And listen, and we're doing all of that. We're doing all of that very well. And not only that, but we're still able, with all of this interest, we're still able to contribute to our retirement funds, and we're still doing very well. We're doing well with our investments. We're doing well with saving. We're doing well with paying our bills. We're doing well with creating equity in our homes. We're doing all of those things well. But we're not paying attention. We're totally blind to how much interest we're paying on our loans, all of our loans, when it is possible to pay 2/3 less with the income that we have now. What if it were possible to pay 2/3 less interest and pay off the loans and save like we're saving now and still go on vacation and still live well and have a great lifestyle along the way? The only thing that's not happening anymore is we're not giving all of that money to the bankers in interest. We've learned how to cut interest cost by 75%. We can use what we call here at the P.I.L.L method an opportunity cost calculator that does all of the math. Okay? Listen, this thing is so insidious. The formula that they use, let me put that up on the screen here. The formula for amortization formula, there it is. This formula makes the bank trillions upon trillions of dollars every single year. This formula alone on our loans, on our mortgages, our student loans, our credit cards, our car loans, our personal loans, our HELOCs, okay, our personal lines of credit. The whole lending system is way more complicated than we have been led to believe. In fact, it is so complicated, ladies and gentlemen, that even what we have been told, even what we've been told to mitigate our loans, how to pay the loans off faster, how to save money and interest. Even what we've been told to do by the financial experts, the financial gurus, is actually working against us. We're actually paying more interest than we need to, even with what we've been taught on how not to do it. The P.I.L.L method is not just a way to pay off your debt. It is the best way to pay off your debt. How do I know that? Why do I say it's the best way to do that? Listen, I wish somebody would come to the stage because I need to ask some questions, but at least I can put it in the chat. At least you can put it in the chat, okay? Of every way that you know of to pay your debt off in a more efficient manner, so you can get out of debt faster than 30 years, okay? In everything that you've ever been taught, has anybody ever pointed out that with this particular system, here's how much interest you're saving this month, in 1 month? Because listen, we can figure out how much interest we're paying each month if we take a look at it. But if we apply the methodology of like the debt snowball or the velocity banking or the avalanche methods or any method that's commonly taught right now, if we employ those methods, has anybody ever pointed out to you by employing those methods how much interest you're saving in 1 month of using those systems? Yes or no? Has anybody been taught that? How much interest you're saving along the way? Yes or no? Okay. Enchanted says no, not even my RS tax person. IRS tax person. Listen, exactly. Eric Toom says no. You would have to figure it out on your own, even if you know how to do it. You still have to figure it out on your own. Okay. Enchanted has a let me see what you have here. Do you have a question for me? It says, I'm just shy of 32% of my salary being paid toward my mortgage. How about that? My mortgage interest consumption is sadly at 3.47% a year, and I have 26 years to go. Enchanted, listen. Can I share something with you? You have 26 years to go with the way they are teaching this. You don't have 26 years to go if you employ the P.I.L.L method. You can use your situation, your income, and do something better than what the bank is talking about. Let me put some case studies on the screen here for you. Okay, let me put some case studies on the screen. All right, so here's some case studies. Okay, here's one. I need you to see this. All right, this is someone with a $630,000 mortgage. They have $38,000 in loans. They have $20,000 in credit card debt for a total of $688,000. $688,000. The way the bank wants them to pay this back is, here's how much interest the bank wants them to pay: $320,741. That's how much interest the bank wants them to pay. For a total, here's how much you borrow. They're borrowing $688,000. But by the time they paid everything back with the interest cost, now we're talking about $1 million. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to pay back $1 million if you borrow $688,000? It is the interest that is killing us. And none of the financial gurus, none of them are talking about interest and how to save interest. And Janice says, no, no. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you don't want to do. So, am I anti-borrowing? Absolutely not. Am I anti-bank? Absolutely not. Okay. What I am is pro-education. I'm not anti anything. I'm pro-education and learning how to play the game by the rules. That's what we're about here at the P.I.L.L method. P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Once you start understanding those 4 basic principles, okay? LA, watching us on Facebook. Listen, folks, here's what we're about. Great morning to you too. Great morning to you watching us on Facebook. Go ahead, listen, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and share. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, go ahead and share this out to all of your social media friends and family. Everyone needs to hear this. But here's the sad thing about what I'm getting ready to tell you. It is so easy to create inattentional blindness. You know why it's so easy to create inattentional blindness? Here's why. Most of us are blind to how much interest we're paying because most of us don't even realize we're in trouble. Most of us don't even realize that we're being violated, because when we look at how much money we're actually paying to borrow money, it could be considered financial violence. Financial violence. And many of us have heard stories about people who are subject to violence. Somehow, they just don't leave. There's a whole lot of psychological situations here, and we're not going to get into all of that. But here's what I'm telling you. Most people who are paying these loans, 35 to 39% of their take-home pay is used to pay interest on these loans. And they're totally and utterly okay with it. That's why more people aren't talking about this. Because the banks realize, don't you know that banks hire psychologists, and they're known as behavioral economists, meaning there are experts out there that have written books that understand how we as human beings behave around money. And they know that most of us can be conditioned to be in this system where 35 to 39% of our take-home pay will go to interest, making somebody else rich. They know that we'll do it. And they also know that we don't care that we're doing it. They'll also know that we're not paying attention that we're doing it, because here's why. There's enough money left over for us to live well, vacation well, purchase well, drive well, even send our kids to college well with what we have left. with what we have left, we can do quite well. So we're not paying attention to how much of our wealth is being siphoned off to make somebody else rich. Most of us will never pay attention to it. In fact, 9 out of 10 people, I need you to write this down. 9 out of 10 people that you know will never, ever pay off a mortgage. Now, who are the people who actually engage with the P.I.L.L method? There are some who are right now studying, researching the internet, researching, buying, and reading books, even my book, The P.I.L.L Method, A Better Way to Eliminate Debt. They're researching and looking for a better way. I'm here to tell you that those who are looking for a better way have looked at their mortgage, they've looked at their parents, they've looked at their grandparents, and their grandparents still have a mortgage, and they're saying there's something wrong with the system. It's not going to be me. Not going to be me. So they're searching and looking for a different way. They're looking for it. And then they find it here. They find it here at the P.I.L.L method. And when they find it, they're open to learning a new and better way. And people ask me all the time, Don, if your way works so well, and even those people who are our clients, who are in the P.I.L.L method family, they ask the same thing. This works so well. Why aren't more people on your program? Because it's easy to be conditioned to be okay with the current program. So, and the reason why I'm telling you this is, even though some of you come here all the time. I mean, you watch our videos either live or watch the replay. Some of you have bought and read my book. Some of you are even clients of the P.I.L.L method. Some of you are even clients. And you're still wondering why more people don't pay attention to this. And the reason why I'm telling you this is LA says they have the book. All right. LA says she has the book. All right. Thank you for that, by the way. Oh, and for all of you that do have the book, will you do me a favor? If you like it, will you please write a 5-star review for us on Amazon? I would appreciate that so very much. Okay. We're giving out information here that nobody else is talking about. Our book is the only book on Amazon that talks about this subject. Okay. So if you go to ice10k.com, the link that's above your heads, and take a look at that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the book in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, think about it. Get the book. And if you have the book, please, 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 please give us a 5-star review. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much, LA. I appreciate you doing that for us. Okay. Listen, folks, here's what I want to show you. Even though the bank wants to charge this family $320,000 interest, we're showing this family how to pay only $80,000 interest, $80,661 or less out of $320,000. Now, what has changed for them? Are they making more money? Did they get a raise to do this? Did somebody leave them an inheritance? No, no, and no. What they're doing is taking their current income situation, their current financial picture, and learning how to pay less interest. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, Don, we don't have the extra money to get out of debt. I'm showing you, listen here very closely and read my lips. I'm looking straight into the camera. If you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You don't need more money to get out of debt. You need to pay less interest because that is the problem. And you can use your current budget. Learn how to play the game by the rules and pay a lot less interest. And in this case, they're using their current budget to pay a lot less interest. Okay. Pay out only $80,661. That's $240,000 less. LA says, say it again. Say it again, she says. Okay? Say it again. You don't need more money to get out of debt. You need to pay less interest. And what the P.I.L.L method is all about is focusing there on interest consumption, reducing interest consumption so more of your money will go where it needs to go. That's to pay back the loans. And less of your money will go to where it doesn't need to go. That is to the interest side of your ledger, making the banks rich. Why? Listen, if there was a better way, why aren't we doing it? Because more people don't know that they have this as a problem. They don't know. Okay. It is a silent interest is a silent stealer of our money. And it is way more complicated than we have been led to believe. Way more complicated than we've been led to believe. Even when we try to do something about it, we still pay more than we need to pay. So let me finish up what's going on here. Because this family is going to pay $240,000 less to interest, that means more of their money can go to pay off the loans that they have. And they go from 27.9 years in getting out of debt. And you're going to love this, LA. Okay. You're going to love this, Enchanted. All right. Because and Eric, they're going to be out of debt in 7 years. And they're going to do it without compromising lifestyle. They will not have to take money away from putting money towards their retirement. They'll still be able to go on vacation. They'll still be able to go out and have some fun in their families. They'll still be able to do listen, with the P.I.L.L method, we're not looking for you to take money out of your budget, to take away from the things that you're already doing. What we want to do is optimize the use of your money so that you can get a bigger bang out of your buck. When you get a bigger bang out of your buck, your dollar, that each dollar that you earn can be used more efficiently. What do I mean by more efficiently? Let me go back to the mortgage that I had on the screen. Okay. Here's what I mean by more efficiently. This is less efficient. Less efficient means when let me do the math again. I'm putting my calculator up here. Okay. $2,800 goes to interest. The payment is $3,081.81. When we use that, we find out that 91% of our payment goes to interest. So let me break it down to you this way. Out of every dollar that's going to this mortgage, 91 cents out of every dollar goes to the bank in interest. And only 9 cents out of every dollar is paying off the mortgage. 9 pennies out of every dollar they're giving the bank pays down their mortgage. And we are conditioned to do that. So much so that when people who are satisfied with what they're doing, and we try to point this out, they will argue against us and saying, there's nothing we can do about it. And the numbers that you're talking about, Don, that we can cut this by 75%, it can't be done. The banks would never stand for it. So they're conditioned to saying, because I borrowed the money, I have to pay all of this interest the way that I have been taught and told to do. I don't have a choice. That's not true. You do have a choice. You can pay a lot less interest. And we've been teaching people how to do this for 18 years. 18 years. Eric Toombs, what are you saying to me today? She says, my daughter looked at the screen. She thinks 2037 until you get out of debt on your chart sounds ridiculous. Of course your daughter thinks it sounds ridiculous. Of course your daughter says it's ridiculous, because you know why your daughter says that, Eric? Because she hasn't been conditioned to pay all of that money yet. She says, I don't want to do that. You teach this to a child. Eric, how old is your daughter? Put that in. Is that okay if I know how old your daughter is? Can you put that in the chat? How old is your daughter? Because see, listen, 9. Listen, she's 9 years old. 9 years old. Okay. And when you look at that chart and say, listen, it's going to be 2037 till I get out of debt. It says, no way, no way. We should be able to get out of debt in 7 to 9 years, because the way that this thing is set up, the formula that they use, let me tell you what's going on here. The formula that they use is set up to make a whole lot of money for the banking community, a whole lot of money. And there is something that they need to have in place to continue to make that money. And I'm going to tell you what that is today. But I need to see, can I get some people to put some number 9s in the chat? I will tell you what bankers need to have in place to continue to make all of this money from us. If I see a sufficient number of 9s, because I need to know if you're listening, okay? JB says, good morning from Canada, everybody. All right. JB says, good morning from Canada. We're going to put that on the screen. Good morning, JB. All right. And LA, she says, listen, I got an amen corner here. LA, keep saying, say that again. Okay. Say it again. Almost like we were in church. Okay. And yes, with a bunch of S's. Okay, somebody goes to church. Look at the raised hands. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me take a look here. Oh, I see some number 9s here. All right, Mr. Rodriguez, how are you doing this morning? Thank you for being here. And Regina Davis says number 9. Rhonda Lee says, listen, more than 1 9. She says several 9s. Okay. Here's what needs to be in place for this to continue to happen. You can never ever know how the system works, how they are using their system to charge us 35 to 39% of our take-home pay, how inattentional blindness actually works, okay? And how it takes a ton of math to save the amount of interest that is mathematically possible for you. They don't want you to know how they are doing it. Once you know how it works, and listen, it is so crazy. It is so crazy how it works. This is why your real estate agent doesn't know how it works, because your real estate agent will tell you. Your mortgage professional who sold you your mortgage, and maybe more than one mortgage if you're a real estate investor, Your mortgage professional does not know how a mortgage actually works, or other loans, how they work. Because if their employers told them, then they might tell you that part. Okay. If their employers told them how mortgages work, then the word might get out, because they're going to tell their families, they're going to tell their close friends. And even though if they tell their family and their close friends, don't tell anybody, y'all would tell. Y'all would tell. So that's why the mortgage professional doesn't even know. Your accountants aren't taught. The bookkeepers and the accountants and the CPAs that you employ right now in your business and your taxes are not taught how amortization actually works and how to defeat it. They can produce an amortization schedule, but they're totally unaware of what's going on behind the scenes and what you could do about it. Totally unaware. Now, I need everybody in here. I need everybody in here just listening to me right now. I got people online. I got people here in Clubhouse. I need all of you to put it in the chat. Yes or no. Have you ever been taught how a mortgage and other loans actually work, and how you can defeat the bank system and pay a lot less interest and get out of debt in about 7 years? Has anybody ever told you how the whole system works and how the bank is fooling us and having us pay all of that money? Yes or no? Has anybody ever told you, besides the P.I.L.L method? Besides the P.I.L.L method, has anybody ever told you? Have you ever had that class? Junior B says no. Okay, Junior B says no. All right, Shelly says no. Helen says yes. Thank you very much, Helen, for being here. Enchanted says no, Don. It's a no for me. Okay. Shelly says no. Rhonda says no. Eric Toom says no, not until we met you. Talking about the P.I.L.L method. All right. This is what we're talking about. LA says I was not taught. So here's what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. You're not taught how all of this works. But here's what you are taught: that borrowing money has been woven into the fabric of our economic society, and we're not even told how it works. How in the world can that be? How in the world can that be? Now, listen, I could bring up a bunch of conspiracy theories and start talking like that, but I don't have to, because you haven't been taught. Your sibling or your parents or your friends that are in business and have an MBA, okay, a master's in business administration, they have not been taught. Okay, the CEOs of the businesses that borrow money, they haven't been taught how it works either. Real estate agents have not been taught. Real estate brokers have not been taught. People who sell mortgages for a living, they have not been taught. But I guarantee you, the people who own the bank understand all of this and more. The people that own the bank understand it. How come we don't? Okay. And it's when I show you what's happening, why we don't know, why we're not supposed to know, and why nobody else knows, it is clear that they've chosen a system that makes a lot of money. But that same system can save you a lot of money if you know how it works. That same system, the very same system that they're using to siphon money off, they're stealing. I don't want to say stealing because it's legal. Okay. It's legal and it's all right. We just need to know how it works what's happening is that they're siphoning off the wealth that belongs to your children and your grandchildren, is being siphoned off to make trillions upon trillions of dollars, to make other people rich because they understand the system. Okay? They're using us as a natural resource, you and me, and the time that we put in and the dollars we make in exchange for our time. They're saying they're going to tap into it. They're saying, listen, let me tap into each one of these individuals here, because as a banker, guess what? I don't manufacture anything. I don't produce anything. I am not contributing anything new to society. Nothing. Here's what I have. I have money as a banker. And here's what I want to do with my money. I want to lend my money out. And I want to make as much as I can for as long as I can. And the only thing that needs to happen for that to continue is the people that we're tapping into can never know how it works, because once they know how it works, we start making a lot less money. Okay, strategic secrets. Let me see what strategic secret says. It says that's a serious question to ponder, and the answer demands a change because we need to be taught this stuff. Thanks for bringing the light on it, because it's certainly in darkness right now because we haven't been taught. And you're kind of wondering. If you're kind of wondering, listen. Can I give you an example here? I know some. Do you all know any truck drivers? You know any people who drive truck for a living? Do you know, to be a truck driver over the road? Okay, and Janice we got their hands raised, saying hi. Say, listen, I can't believe I can't get anybody to come to the stage and talk to me today. All right, please come on up. Somebody come to the stage. Raise your hand. Come to the stage and talk to me. All right, in Clubhouse. Here, if you know a truck driver, can you imagine somebody going to truck driving school and completing the training? They're getting in to the truck. They're learning how to shift the gears. They're learning road safety. All right. They're doing all of that. Okay. Invite Eric up to this, up to speak. They're doing everything. All right. And they passed all of the tests and they got their certificate. But guess what? They never learned how to back the truck up. That wasn't part of the course. Does it make sense to you to teach people how to drive the truck forward and do everything that they need to, but not learn how to back up a trailer? Does that make sense to you, Eric?
Makes sense. Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen, what did you want to share with us today, sir?
Well, you've got me fired up right now talking about this. I do want to say that I'm a client and I very much like the program. But I have to say, and you know that I secretly call you Morpheus because you have shown us the world that has been pulled over our eyes. All of this stuff is legal, but they're not talking. And like you said, there's a lot of people who work for the banks who aren't taught this stuff. And I've been taught, not only by your book, but by your show to look at the numbers. And even when I listen to other financial gurus, they say some very good stuff. But I can say this, that the P.I.L.L method teaches you how to evaluate things in such a way to see if it is actually a viable solution. The financial gurus, they do have some good things to say, but they're not telling you the whole story. And some of them may not even know. But the reason why I keep tuning in, whenever I can, is because even having the book, even having talked with you personally, I learn something every single time, and it's helping me get better and better with my finances. The main thing being having a budget, which is tracking your expenses and your income, which is very important, I must say, by the way, because I used to do it in my head, but now it just something clicks in your brain and you see things very differently when you do that. So I want to encourage everyone to listen to what you're saying and learn what you're teaching. And you won't be disappointed, because once your eyes are open, you can't go back to, the ways that you were doing things.
Thank you for that, man. Listen, Enchanted she changed her. She put up Morpheus's picture on her PTR. Come on. Listen, there are some fans of the Matrix out there. And listen, we've done a show like that before. That the matrix of money, where actually, instead of being made batteries to power the machine world, we have been made to become interest generating machines so that the bankers of the world can get rich. Even real estate investors that are doing very well financially, if they use bank money, I guarantee you they are paying more interest than they need to pay. They could pay a lot less interest if they knew the rules to the game. And the rules have been hidden from us since 1936. The first 20-year mortgage that was amortized, the fully self-amortizing 20-year mortgage, went into effect in 1936. The first 30-year mortgage that was fully self-amortizing, so the bank can make all this money, was in 1948. No widespread education has gone out to the public on how to borrow this money at a discount. We've been given tips and tricks, but no real education on how the formula actually works and how the bank makes their money and how much they're making. Ken, listen, I'll show you something. I'm going to put this on the screen. All right. If you want to know, I need some number sevens now. We're going to go into how to cut interest consumption by a ton. Let me put this back up on the screen. Let me show you something that's interesting here. Okay. If you want to see how this goes, put a number 7 in the chat while I go back to YouTube and show you what's going on with this particular loan, where this family has $630,000 worth of loans. The bank wants them to pay $320,000 in interest, which means the bank wants them to pay back over $1 million when you add in the principal and the interest. We're showing them how only to pay $80,000 or less. $80,000 or less. That's a $240,000 savings. I need you to see something here. I want to focus in on this right now. Okay, I'm going to focus on this right now. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it. All right, right on screen. When we do this for this family, guess what? For them to pay only $80,661 instead of the $320,000 that the bank wants, that means they would have to have an interest rate across the board of 0.75%. In other words, their effective interest rate, meaning the interest rate they would have to pay this small amount of interest, would have to be 0.75%, less than 1% across the board. Okay, when we add up all their interest rates, okay, They've got a 3% mortgage. Their average on the credit cards is 20%. That's the average, and the average on these loans is 5%. Okay, so if we take a look at all of that, we're saying that we can get that down to 0.75% across the board. That is an interest savings of over 75%. 75%. Okay. Now you're looking at what's called a savings report, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at what's called a savings report. And each one of you who wants to have one can have one. Yeah. We do this for free. If you want to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. Now, the instructions are not here. Okay. Just the results. The instructions are not here. We give this away for free so people can tell if they would like to become part of the P.I.L.L method family. You can get this for free. You can get it for free. And I'm going to tell you, and listen, I'm going to tell you after I show you how a little bit about how you can avoid paying all that interest to the banks. And I want to show you here on page 2, the mortgage is at 3%. The auto loan is at is 38,000. They've got a Discover at 21%. They have USAA at 19%, and the total average is 3.6%. That's the average. And I want to show you something here. On the left side is how the bank wants you to pay off this loan. On the right side is how we do it here at the P.I.L.L method without impeding the ability of this family to live a great lifestyle. This is what we're doing here with their finances so they can get a bigger bang for their buck, so they can buy more, save more, do more, invest more without giving all that money to the bank in interest. Pay less interest, get out of debt faster. Pay more interest, stay in debt longer. That's what's going on here. And if they take that money that they're using to get out of debt and pretend and start paying it to themselves instead of to the bank, this is what they could do 5 years after they're out of debt. 5 years after they're out of debt, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they take that money and invest it instead of giving it to the bank, they could have over $500,000 at the bank in their investment, and that's only at a 1% return on their money. 1% return on the money. Stop giving it to the bank and start investing in yourselves is what I'm trying to get over to you today. I see some number 7s here. I see some number 7s. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and Enchanted. Listen, I love when she puts stuff in it. She gives me the Roman numeral 7. I love that. I love that. So let's get back here. Let's get back to this mortgage here and show you here's why the bank does not want you to know how they are doing this. They don't want you to know. Okay? They don't want you to know. Here's what's happening. If you want to see this and you're not seeing my screen, please go to YouTube right now. I'm going to recopy the link. All right. And I'm going to put it in the chat here on Clubhouse. That way you have the link and now you can see our screen on YouTube. You can go to use your secondary device, computer, laptop, iPad, your other phone, whatever. So you can listen to us on Clubhouse and watch the example on the screen here. I need to show you this. This is what the bank does not want you to know. Now, this is not the P.I.L.L method per se. This is not what our clients use. Our clients do not use this. This is an amortization schedule that I got from Brett Whistle online. Okay. And in fact, I'm going to thank you. Eric put the he put the link in there. Okay. So that you can see, you can do some of this yourself. I'll put it in again here on Clubhouse. All right. And I'll put it on the comment section Okay, here, so people can watch it online as well. Okay, this thing is so powerful that it makes so much money. Here's the thing: the formula, this formula does this to this loan. It gives you the same payment every month, but it changes the configuration of the payment every single month so that a little more money goes to principal each month and a little less money, the same amount goes, a little less money goes to interest the very next month. So your payment remains the same, but every month a little bit more goes to principal. But it is so little that the rate, now this is what I've learned from some mathematicians. I'm not a mathematician, so this is what I've learned. The rate of change is so small using this formula every single month. That means that because of the rate of change, the bank gets to charge you on this loan the interest for 360 months, because the rate of change, the amount of money that pays down the loan each month is so little and so small that by the time all that money is added up to the $420,000 using the principal payment here, it takes 30 years to add all of these up to $420,000. But in the meantime, while you're trying to add up to $420,000 using these small payments, they're charging you big money every single month to do that. Now, here's how they do it. They're taking that interest rate of 8%. Okay? They're taking that interest rate of 8%, 0.08, and dividing it by 12. And what they're doing is this: 0.00, a bunch of sixes, and a 7 at the end. That's the multiplier. That's the magic number that they're using each and every month to charge you all of this money. Let me show you. If we take the first payment of the first principal balance of $420,000, and we're going to multiply it, our magic number, all right, the multiplier, we're going to do that by our principal balance, 420,000. It equals exactly $2,800. That is our first interest payment. And because the formula has picked out for us how much of that payment goes to principal, this is a tiny amount, $281.81. That is created by the formula. $281.81 is the amount that is attributed to principal or paying down the loan. Now, here's what you also need to understand. We have been taught to picture so much money goes to principal over in one account and so much money goes to interest on another account. That's not true. An investor bought this mortgage. Okay. When an investor bought this mortgage, okay, here's what they're looking for. The investor is going to get $3,081.81 of your money. They're going to get all of the money. That's what the investor gets. But here is why the investor loves this particular program. They love making money off your mortgages because they get all $3,081.81 every single month. But here's what happens. Out of that $3,081, all right, that they are receiving, this much is credited to paying back your loan. It is a math transaction. It is something that happens behind the scenes. there is actually no money going to principal and actually no money going to interest. The investor gets the whole amount. They don't just get the interest amount, they get everything. They get the whole thing. But the next month, here's what happens. $281.81 is credited to your principal payment. So credited to paying down your loan. So what's left is $419,718.19. And they love the fact that the rate of change is so slow and so small. They're going to take that same number, 0.08, divided by 12 again, take their magic number, and now they're going to multiply it by the principal balance on line 1, because $281.81 was subtracted from what you owe. Now you owe $419,718.19. So we're going to multiply this number by the principal balance on line 1. So we're going to multiply that by 419,718.19. It comes to $202,798.12. Look here, the interest on line 2. That's what they're doing. The investor gets your whole payment, but out of that payment, here's the math that happens behind the scene. $281 of your payment is credited to principal. The rest is credited to interest. So in other words, so little of your money goes to pay down the loan every month that you get a brand new mortgage every single month. This is not one mortgage, ladies and gentlemen, at 8%. If you let the bank have their way, it's 360 separate mortgages for 360 separate mortgages every single month for the next 30 years. That's what's happening with this program. This is what they don't want you to know, that part. And because they make so much money doing it, here is what they also don't want you to know. If you make a payment here, let's call your first payment in January. You make your first payment in January. I am so surprised I'm not seeing other hands raised to come up to this stage. I got a whole bunch of people in here, okay? And I need you to see this. I need you to see all of this. All right, let me check for if I have any questions. Nope, no questions. $281.81 goes to principal. $2,800 goes to interest. They use this number now to figure out how much interest I pay on the very next line of my schedule. Okay? It would be $283.69. That's what I would pay next month if I let them do it that way. So what are they doing? They're dictating to us the timing in which we give them back their money that we borrowed. If we follow their timing, then we will pay a lot of interest each and every month following their timing. So what if you chose the timing? What if you increased the rate of change, not from $283 a month, but to more? What if you increase the rate of change? Watch this. So we make our first payment in January. Our February principal payment would be $283.69. But there's absolutely no rule that says for mortgages here in the United States that you can't give the bank that $283.69 ahead of time. If you make your first mortgage payment in January, you can give the bank this $283.69 also in January. And because you've already paid the interest for that month, all of this money goes to principal. You've just increased the rate of change by $283.69. So you're paid down to line 2 on your amortization schedule. So now when the bank's computer sees this, they have to charge you not on the 419, 718 on the first line. They can only charge you the 419, 434, 50 on the second line. Let's see what happens when they do. Okay. So remember, point 0.08. That's 8% divided by 12. One more time equals the magic number. And now we're going to multiply it by this number because this is the number now. We've given them extra money. We've given them money to pay next month's principal. We gave it to them early. Okay. We chose the timing. And now we owe 419, 434 instead of 419, 718. And because of that little bitty change, we're going to now multiply it by line 2. Multiply by 419, 434, and 50 cents equals 2,796.23. That is the interest on line 3. If we give the bank the $283.69 early, then our next mortgage payment is on line 3 of our schedule, not line 2. And what happened to the $2,798.12 on line 2? It just got canceled. It just got eliminated. It turned to zero. They can't listen. We got this amount of equity for free. They did not get to charge us that. All right. Enchanted wants to come to the stage now. I think you're sufficiently excited. Enchanted, what do you want to say about all of this?
Oh my goodness. I don't want them to have that. I want that for me. I really want that for me. Like, honestly, when I just no. They don't deserve it. I mean, I know they helped me out by giving me the interest rate that they did. I mean, when I got 3.375, everyone was like, "Oh, you got a great interest rate." But then it's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do this for 30 years, and it's gonna be 3.375 times 30. Like, yeah, no.
No, you don't want to
I'd
do that for 30
rather
years.
No.
Well,
Honestly, at times I think about, okay, I want to be able to, you know, build a house behind my house, put my parents in it. I always think about things like that because, and that's going to take money, and they don't deserve no.
no,
Yeah,
no. Just because we don't understand it, you're right. They shouldn't have to get all that money. And if we know what to do, we could save the money. So, Enchanted, are you actually watching my screen on YouTube?
yes,
Okay, so can I ask you a question then?
sure.
What would happen if I pay the mortgage here on line 1, like I'm supposed to? But I gave the bank, I'm looking at my amortization schedule, I gave them the principal payment for line 2, line 3, and line 4. The 283, the 285, and the 287. What if I gave that to them early? What would happen to the interest on line 2, 3, and 4? Isn't that
I
something?
mean, they're not gonna know what hit them.
Oh my
That's for
gosh.
sure.
Oh my gosh, look at that. And if we did that, our next mortgage payment would be on line 5, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
For a lot less money. When you're in control, listen, you are in control of how you pay this loan back. You don't have to listen to the bank. Can I show you one other thing that the banking
Sure.
system really doesn't want you to understand about this? And listen, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm actually going to prove it to you by doing a whole new amortization schedule. Okay? Are you ready?
Sure.
So I'm going to duplicate this tab. All right? This is what we've got. All right. So here, if we take a look at cumulative principal on this loan, cumulative principal and cumulative interest. 1 year worth of principal, we're going to pay this of all the principal payments added up come to $3,508.52. Okay? $3,508.52. And how much interest for 1 year? How much interest for 1 year do they want? And Janet, can you see it? If you're talking, we can't
Yes.
hear. Okay. All right. How much do they want you to pay in 1 year? Cumulative. Just look at the column 4, cumulative
The
interest.
bottom, right?
Yep, and go down to 12. Line 12. Are you seeing that?
Mm-hmm.
33,473.20. Isn't that a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If we know we're gonna give the bank this $3,500, all right? Do we have to give it to them in 12 monthly installments, or could we give it to them all at once if we had the money?
All at once if we have to.
If we have to, okay? If we had the money. Would they have to subtract that from what we owe?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's do this. Let's do the math. We start out at 420,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pay the 3508.52 in 1 month, all right? So we're going to subtract 3508.52 all at one time instead of over 12 months. That equals 416,491.48. That's the same thing that's on line 12 here. Okay? That's the same thing that's on line 12. Now, let me show you what would happen. If we gave them that money, this would be our new mortgage, wouldn't it? 416,491.48. That would be our new mortgage, wouldn't it? So let's do this. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put this in our new amortization schedule. We don't owe that anymore. We owe this. Okay. Let me see. Copy. And we're going to paste that in there. We're going to take out the comma. Okay. And we're going to take out the number of payments. All right.
I can see it.
But the interest.
Am I looking at it right?
Yeah. But the interest is the same. So here's what we've got.
Absolutely.
Now we have 348 payments left. That means we've already taken off 12 payments. Okay. We've already taken off 12 payments. So if we take a look at how much interest do they want now? 655,978 versus how much interest they wanted before we gave them all of that money. They wanted 689,451. So we're going to put from the first mortgage here, we're going to put in our calculator 689,451.60. That's how much interest they wanted. Okay. And we're going to subtract the amount of interest on our new mortgage, 655. So we're going to subtract 655. Subtract 655,978.40 equals 33,473.20. By giving the money to the bank early, that's how much interest we save. 33,473.20. What? It's the exact same number that's here? Are you telling me that's the exact same number that's here? So have we proven that we could save 33 grand in interest by giving the bank the $3,500 early?
Absolutely. Thank you.
By using two separate amortization schedules, we've proven that this number is actually right. Wow, wow, wow. And I'm going to finish. Listen, folks, I've been here an hour and 31 minutes. Okay. And we just showed by giving the bank the 3508.52, we could save that much money in interest. Listen, if you're excited by this news, if you're excited by what you've just seen here, can I get some fire emojis in the chat? Can I get some fire emojis in the chat and in the comment section if you're excited about what you've seen and what you've heard so far? $3,500 prepaid saves me $33,000. So let me show you something. If you're a real estate investor, do you know I get pushback from real estate investors on this all the time? Okay. I'm going to tell you why I shouldn't get pushback on this. If we just proven by using two separate amortization schedules that I could save $33,000 by prepaying the $3,500, they don't have to pay the bank, okay, to do the same thing. Then we can figure out our ROI, return on investment, because the $3,500 that you've given to the bank early is the same $3,500 you could invest in another investment to make what? 8%, 10%? What if you're really, what if you're really doing gangbusters and make 20% with your money? 20% return on your money. Who wouldn't want that? Come on. But I'm saying, what if you did this and did the math on, I'm going to invest $3,500 in my mortgage and not pay the bank $33,000. What's my return on investment on that? So how much did we say? We're saving $33,437.32. And how do you figure return on investment? If you look it up on the internet, they're going to say, what did you make with the money? What did you make or save with the money? What was your result? Take what you invested to get the result, and then you take your results and divide it by what you invested. And then multiply that number by 100, and that gives you your return on investment, ROI. So we're going to take the 33,473.20. We're going to divide it by what we invested, the 3508.52. Okay, divided by 3508.52 equals, and we're going to take that number and multiply it by 100. And we get 954% return on your money. Not 9%, not 7%, not even 20%, not even 30%, but 954% return on your money in just 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, I defy any real estate investor that can tell me where I can take $3,500 and gain $33,000, whether in savings or earnings, and get 954% return on my money. Where else can you get that? I'm not saying that real estate investors shouldn't take a large portion of their money and start reinvesting it in other doors or other property right away. But there's smaller amounts of money that they have on the sideline just sitting there. They can invest and leverage the small amounts of money they have on the sideline to get this kind of return and knock 1 year off this mortgage in 1 month. Why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't people who are trying to buy their home? And I say trying to buy their home because when you are making mortgage payments, you're a home buyer. You're not a home owner. You're not a home owner until the thing is paid off. Then you're a homeowner. But while you're being a home buyer, wouldn't you like to knock years off and interest off by you getting to choose how you pay the loan back? Wow. Okay. So here's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm getting ready to, we're winding down here. We're winding down. We've been here going on an hour and 36 minutes. We're winding down. And so I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring up our opportunity cost calculator and then talk to you about what is needed to optimize interest savings. What's needed to optimize interest savings? There's a whole lot of math that goes into that. So we're going to pull this up. And anybody who wants to come up to the stage to talk about it, please do. Raise your hand. Okay. There we go. All right. All right. So this is our opportunity cost calculator. And I'm going to put in, let me see, I'm going to reset the account. And we have a lot of different scenarios we can load in. So this is our demo. So I'm going to load in this one, which is simple. And I'm just going to go over the basics. I'm not even going to run through it. Okay. I just need you to know that there is a system out there. Okay. John and Rebecca Jones, they're using their income. Here's what they qualified for these loans with their income. Here's what they've done. John gets paid bi-weekly $950. Rebecca gets paid weekly $700. They have, let me make it just a little bit bigger. Okay. What they have here is they're averaging $5,091.66 a month. Their bills are averaging, over to the left here, $37.60. $37.60 a month. That's their bills. So they have in discretionary about $1,300 left over after everything gets paid, even after they've invested in their long-term savings, even after they've had some fun along the way, they still have about $1,300 left over every single month. Okay. All right. And if their expenses are a little more, they have a little less left over. If their expenses are a little less, they have a little more left over. But the program is taking a look at what is the average here. What is the average here? We take the average and we take a look at their accounts. So now we're loading in their accounts. Their accounts, they have right now, they have about $500 in checking. They're not rich. They have about $5,000 in savings. Again, not rich. Okay. All right. They have a car loan of $25,000 at 4%. They have a Visa at 21%, $2,000 they owe on it. And they have a $200,000 mortgage at a whopping 6% interest right now. The program has already indicated that they'll be able to save in interest $179,790 in interest. This is how much interest, okay? That's the interest save, all right? Here's how much principal that they have remaining, $227,000, all right? And how much interest will they end up paying on these loans? If we go here, we can do that number. It says interest remaining, $56,428. Here's what the bank wanted. The bank wanted the $56,428 and the $179,790. They're not going to get it. And because of how this program works, telling the folks exactly what to do, they'll be out of debt in 7.7 years. And if you want to see it, here's their payoff date. April 12, 2031. If they started today, their last payment will be made April 12th, 2031. How would you like to have that specificity in knowing the very last day you're going to make a payment on these loans? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. 7.7 years later, not 30 years later. Okay. So here's what they're doing. Let me give you a quick tutorial on what's happening. Okay. So we're going to change this to next debt transfer. So they just tell the program how much they're making and how much they're spending. When we're starting out in August, and when John gets paid, he says, listen, I got my $950. It was deposited in my bank. I'm going to tell my program here that I got my $950. All right. Got it deposited. And I'm going to put it in my virtual checking account so it matches my real checking account at the bank. You see, it's gone now. Okay. It's gone. And then on my mortgage, is 11.99.10. So when I pay my mortgage, that money gets subtracted from my bank account. So I have to subtract that same amount of money from my virtual bank account so that the program knows how much money I have in the bank at any given time. Because I'm telling the program how much money I'm making and how much I'm spending. All right. If I keep that up, and it's very simple, okay, it takes about 30 minutes a month to update this thing. All right. So every time I do that, look what happens. Look what happens. I start to see these arrows here in the middle. This is when the program says, based on your spending, based on the money that you're making, based on paying your bills on time, right now you'll have in your checking account that needs to move to your savings account $100.90. That's $100.90 you don't need for anything else. Just put it in your savings account. Hold it there. Then pay your phone bill. Rebecca gets another paycheck. And then they say, oh, now we're going to put in, do you realize now you have $589.49 in your checking account you don't need for anything else? Put that in your savings account. But pay for your food for the month, get another paycheck, but pay minimum on the Visa this month. Pay minimum on the auto loan this month. Get your paychecks and even have a little bit of fun here with any other bills you have to pay, and go out and have a good time with this $1,300. Spend all of that if you want. Spend all of it. Okay. And if you do that, just follow that part. Put money in the bank. Well, Don, if we're putting money in the bank and we're only putting minimums on the debt, when do we get out of debt? Well, the program will tell you ahead of time. You just look at one of these windows, just change it to next transfer to debt. And the program says, even though you started out in August, by September 16th, you will have $2,568 in your savings account saved up that you could put on the debt. Not stealing money from your budget, not taking money from your kids' ability to get educated by having experiences, not taking your vacation money, not eating beans and rice 7 days a week, not driving a 30-year-old car, not cutting up your credit cards. You don't have to do any of those things, okay? You can live well by just telling the program how much you're spending, how much you're making, and let the program direct you to put the rest into savings. And by saving up this money, in September, the program says, oh, it's time to take money out of savings and pay off the Visa in one move. $2,000. Boom. Pay it to zero. And when you do that, it'll save you $1,844 in interest you never have to pay because you paid off the Visa all at once. Not a little bit extra for the next year or two. All at once. Done. Visa is done. Okay. So now what do we do next? After that, we just say, oh, we made our regular mortgage payment here on September 1st. Then the program says, wait 15 days. And now you can put an extra out of your savings account, put on principal $546.87. If you take that money out of your savings account, put it on principal on this mortgage, here's how much interest you save. $2,700 in interest by putting $546.87. But why stop at the 87 cents when they have over 5,000 in the bank? Because this is the optimum number, the optimum amount, and the optimum day to put that money on the mortgage and save the most per dollar. So if you take the $2,700 and divide it by what they put on the loan, $546.87. $546.87. They're saving $4.94. This is 4.937. So now you have to round up the 3 to a $4.94 per dollar that they're saving. If they put any more money on, the amount of money that they save per dollar starts to go down. What? Yeah, they're saving, listen, 4.937. Look at that, 4.937. Right? If they put any more money on there, the amount of money that they're going to save per dollar goes down. So, Don, I don't believe you. Listen, what if we were to do this? Let's just change this number. All right. Put a 1 here. Now we're going to pay $1,546.87. And instead of $2,700, I need you to watch up here where it says actual interest saved when I tell the program that. So we're going to actually execute this, not pay 546 like the program says, but we're going to pay 1,546 and see, oh, the bank says now we're going to save $7,526 in interest. So if I take that number, let me see what I paid. I got to go back. In fact, everything I do is in the history. All right. So I can go to the history. I can take a look at the mortgage and say, oh, how much did I prepay on this mortgage? $1,546.87. Okay. So we're going to take our interest savings, which is 75. We're getting that number from here. We did the math. 75.26. All right. And divided by what we paid was 1546.87. Divided by 1546.87 equals 4.865. Listen, before we got 4.937. Now we're at 4.865. We're saving less per dollar because we put on more money than we should have. And our amount of interest that we save per dollar actually goes down. Let me tell you something, folks. This is how difficult they're making it for us with this formula. You don't want to just save some money. You want every single dollar you put into this thing to kill as much interest as it possibly can each time you do this. And our program is designed to save you the absolute maximum amount of interest that you can possibly save at any given date. So to finish up here, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost done. I need you to do this. Go to ICE10K.com. I'm putting it on the screen. ICE. That stands for Interest Cancellation Expert. ICE, the number 10 and the letter K.com. And when you go there, the first person you're going to see here is Eric Thomas, who says in his video, because we no longer had a mortgage, he used our program to pay off his mortgage early. The number one motivational speaker in the entire world says that in the video. You can watch those videos there when you go to the ICE10K.com. Also, here's what I need you to know. You want to know the month, day, and year you can be debt free? Get a savings and earnings report. I showed you what one looks like, and you can get one exactly like it for free. Just click on it where it says get your savings and earnings report right underneath Dr. Eric Thomas's picture. And it says right here, don't waste another dollar paying off the wrong debt. Get your free savings and earnings report. Get that. Okay. Get it. Just follow the steps. This is step one, putting in your contact information and then verifying your email. And that will let you into step two. Put your financials into step two. Once you do that, and push submit, then our staff will get that information and call you and verify the numbers that you put in. Once the numbers are verified, then we can send you out your savings and earnings report so you'll know the month, day, and year you will be debt free and how much interest you can save. And we guarantee that mathematically, No other program on the planet will come anywhere close to our interest savings. Now, you can use another system. Please do if you want to. Okay. There are a lot of free systems out there. Ours is not free. Ours is not free. And there's a lot of systems you could use to pay off your debt early and cheaper. But guess what? The amount of interest that you'll pay is way more than you need to pay because no other system focuses on interest savings. And you're going to pay more to use those systems than the cost of our program, guaranteed. Why would you? Why would you? Why would you not want a system that is specifically designed to save you the maximum amount of interest that's mathematically possible? When all other programs, they'll get you out of debt, but you're going to pay way more interest than you need to. Well, yeah, the cost of our program, you're going to pay that like 4 or 5 times more than you need to. All right. So why? That's what we need to show you. So get your savings and earnings report today. Now, some of you are so excited about the information that you've heard today. You want to tell other people. Here's what I'm saying. Let me put this up here so you can see it. Do you see at the bottom where it says become an affiliate? Become an affiliate today. Go to ice10k.com and click become an affiliate. And it is this easy. It takes about 15 seconds. Put your name, your phone number, your email address, and tell us how you want to get paid. Our affiliates can make anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a month just sharing the P.I.L.L Method YouTube channel. You don't have to sell anything. Listen, remember when I told you not everybody is dissatisfied with how they're doing their debt? Don't talk to those people. Only talk to people who want something different. And when you find them, send them to the YouTube channel. Let them watch some videos for a couple of days. Then call them back within 48 hours. Find out if they are still interested to want to know more. All right. If you find out they're interested and want to know more, guess what you could do? Scroll down underneath my picture here and click this button, refer a friend. When you refer a friend, then what comes up, then you can start put in their name, their phone number, their email address, and their zip code so we'll know what time to call them. All right. You put in your name and number on who referred them and give us any additional information and click submit. Our team will get that and we do the rest of the work. Once they become a client, we'll pay you $300 30 days later. Boom, just like that. $300 for telling somebody to watch some videos and send it to us. You can't get it easier than that. Send us a second one in the same month, and the second one is worth $400. Send us a third one in the same month. That one is worth $500. Send us a fourth one in the same month. That one is worth $600. And if you're fortunate enough to send us a fifth one in the same month, watch the videos, want to know more about it, fifth one, that one's worth $1,200 for a total. You add all those up, that's $3,000 for having people watch videos to learn something that is not being taught anywhere else. Boom. And don't forget this, folks. Don't forget this. Go back to the program. Go back to our ice10k.com. And where it says here, buy the book, get this information, get it down inside you. If this is something that you want to know more about, do that. Watch the videos that we have on YouTube. Get the book, right? Learn more about your money that the banking system never wanted you to know in the first place, because this is the only book on Amazon that talks about this subject, okay? And let me see where our book is on Amazon today, all right? Well, it wasn't too long ago that we were #1 on Amazon, but let's see where we are today. We're going to click on this button here and scroll down. and see. It was number one, but it's not number one anymore. Oh, the Kindle version is dropped down to number 28 on Amazon. Out of 33 million titles, that's not too bad. Okay. Our paperback, the paperback is down to about 66. So buy the book, which is 66 on Amazon out of 33 million titles. That should tell you something. That should tell you something. Get the book today. All right. Become an affiliate today. All right. And also get a savings and earnings report today. And if you like your results, we'll show you how you can get the opportunity cost calculator as well. So you can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free. And not only that, but we have a client that came on the P.I.L.L method in 2008. There's just one of clients, okay, just one. That's now paying off their fourth house with the same program. And they paid for the program once back in 2008. I can't even tell you how much interest we've saved them over the years. And they have renters in the other three houses, which is helping to pay off this house. It's amazing. And I think this last house is going to be paid off in the next 4 years. It is crazy how this thing works. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for allowing me to share. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions or comments before we get out of here. And if we don't, I have one last thing to share with you. I'm actually doing a seminar for Living Manna, which is an online church. Let me put that information up so that you can see that. Okay, here it is. It's called Money Answers All Things, Bridging Faith and Finance Through Stewardship. That is on every Thursday. We've done 3 installments already. We have 5 left on an 8-week session. Okay, 8-week sessions. And look for Living Manna Ministries on YouTube and on Facebook. All right. And follow them or, join their channel on YouTube. And we're going to be on 7:30 Central this Thursday, 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mountain, 5:30 Pacific time. And we're going to be going over this week the debt snowball avalanche methods. We're going to be going over how to pay off churches in 5 to 7 years. We're going to be going over all of those things on the modern best ways to pay off debt and how they don't even begin to compare with the P.I.L.L method. We're going to show them side by side and what the experts are teaching and what they should be teaching. All right. So Brother AJ says, I spoke with Don personally. Very personable. Let me see what he has to say about that. I spoke with Don personally. Very personable, approachable, helpful, and knowledgeable. I highly recommend him. Thank you, Brother AJ. We appreciate you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here. Don't forget, join us on Thursdays. And we're also going to be back with our regular show in the P.I.L.L Method House on Wednesdays and Fridays and Sundays. All right. We're here live. All right. And if you can't make it live, watch the replays. And sometimes we actually get a chance to go on vacation and have a little fun, me and my wife. So, during the holidays, those days that we're not going to be doing a live show, we will put up a replay on oldie but a goodie. Okay. How'd that sound? I want to thank you for being here. Good morning, Roger Farmer. Good morning to see you. Okay. Look good to see you, everybody. So our last person we're going to hear from is Dr. Eric Thomas and what he has to say about the P.I.L.L method. And we'll be done for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for those who came to the stage. And I appreciate every last one of you who stayed for the entire time today. I appreciate it. So share this information with others. The replay is up on on Clubhouse. We have the replays on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Very powerful information. Stop being an interest generating machine for the bank and start paying off all of your debt in an average of 7 years or so, and take that money and invest it in your own families. Okay? All right. Thank you very much, Brother AJ. I appreciate you for that. And let's go ahead and let's play Eric Thomas. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Okay? Talk to you soon.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down from my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.